Well, it's not just a billionaire bromance that's gone wrong. This is the President of the United States and the richest man in the world. Two arguably very, very powerful people who are now taking each other on. And where is this finally going to lead? Now, Trump, on one hand, has been talking about cutting off federal money, revoking citizenship, even deporting Elon Musk. And Musk has been firing back where he's called Trump's new bill utterly insane. And he's threatened to destroy the Republican Party, even hinted at starting his own party. The honeymoon is definitely over for these two, but what does it mean for tech? What does it mean for the markets? What does it mean for science, for policy, and for politics? That's what we're going to look at in this video. Remember, like, share, subscribe, sign up for our membership and support us financially using the super chat feature if you can. We will be so grateful. All right, let's first get to what is going on, right? Back in 2024, these two guys, Elon Musk and Donald Trump, were inseparable in Washington. Musk donated $290 million to Donald Trump's campaign through his super PACs and to all of his causes. He was the largest donor by far, the largest individual donor of that entire election cycle. This is according to opensecrets.org. He even co-led the Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE, you'll remember that massive thing, which was aimed at cutting federal sort of bleeding and to stem the leaks and the frauds in the federal government of the US. An advisory panel for Trump. And when that sort of backfired, it was very interesting because the public sort of criticism for DOGE, Musk absorbed on his own, and it didn't really fall on Trump that much. As a result, when Tesla started taking a beating, Trump actually in March of this year hosted a Tesla car on the White House lawn, you'll remember. He praised Musk for his incredible vision. He test drove the car. He literally endorsed the product, which no US president has ever done. But by June, it completely unraveled. And at the heart of that fallout was Trump's favorite bill, the 940-page law called the One Big Beautiful Bill Act. It was named very sort of Trump-esque, right? So Trump framed it as a historic spending cut and tax reform, and Musk called it, and I'm quoting, a disgusting abomination and a betrayal of fiscal conservatism. And he basically said the lawmakers who are doing this, which is the Republicans, will lose their primary next year if it's the last thing I do on earth. And this I'm quoting out of an article in Al Jazeera dated the 1st of July. So basically, just to roll that back a little bit, remember, Elon Musk believed that his entire contribution in DOGE was to cut spending and make the government more efficient. On the other hand, Trump introduced this bill that actually trims spending from healthcare and from education, but moves it largely, to defense and to war efforts, and actually will increase the debt of the US government a great deal. So it does the opposite of what DOGE was meant to do. Apparently, according to insiders, as this moved through the Senate and it looked like it was going to become a reality, Elon Musk became more and more indignant about the fact that he believed that this wipes out all of the gains from DOGE altogether. So when the bill began to advance through the Senate and it looked like this is actually going to happen, Musk went a little nuclear. And both of these men, again, they are, they shoot from the hip. The language that they use is fairly on the nose. They tend to post on social media a lot, which means they're not putting out sort of measured statements. So this is what Musk first did. He said this is, he started to criticize it. And then Trump turned around and said, Musk is the biggest subsidy receiver in US history. He said Musk's entire empire will collapse without government help. He also said, and this is, Elon may get more subsidy than any human in history. No more rocket launches, satellites, or EV production. We save a fortune. To which Musk responded on X saying, I'm literally saying cut it all now. Trump has allies who sort of speak for him, people like Steve Bannon, Adam Smith. They were actually calling for Elon Musk to be investigated by ICE, which is their immigration police, and to sort of throw him out. And to which Musk responded saying, so tempting to escalate this, but I'll refrain from now. Then the big one came. So on the 5th of June, Musk actually said, and I'm quoting here, he said, trying to drop the really big bomb, Donald Trump is in the Epstein files, and that's the real reason they haven't been made public so far. So this was the real big one. This meant that there is no way that this friendship would ever be recovered. The post went viral, but Musk deleted it a few hours ago because the implications were clear that this was not just an argument about policy anymore. This had become deeply personal, it had become explosive, and it was dangerously public for both of them. These are two, like I said, men with giant egos who have a lot of power and a lot of influence, and so there would be fallout. The fallout happened on the Tesla stock. The Tesla stock dropped 7% in a single day. Year to date, the company had already fallen about 20%. Investors were completely spooked by what was going on in the White House. Remember, Tesla had already had fallout, right? There were attacks in Las Vegas where someone set Tesla cars on fire. There were a lot of campaigns that were going up against Tesla that noise kept getting louder and louder. And now any sort of closeness that that Elon Musk enjoyed with Trump seemed to have been out of the window. So Musk's main businesses, Tesla, SpaceX, and Starlink, were thriving on federal contracts that they were getting from the government. In fact, in 2025, Senator Elizabeth Warren's office put out a report where the report said that Musk's companies allegedly received $38 billion in federal benefits, including tax credits, subsidies, and defense contracts. The same report also said that during Musk's leadership of Dodge, over 100 government decisions were made to directly benefit his company, and that led to an increase of his personal wealth by $100 billion. And these are massive amounts of money. So what happens now? Trump has actually threatened to cancel federal contracts and open investigations against Musk. Musk has said that he will form his own party, calling it the American Party, and he has vowed to fund primary challengers against Trump and Republicans. The Democrats are staying out of it, right? Remember, there was a point when Joe Biden, when he was president, he had an EV event where he did not invite Musk. And apparently that was where Musk decided he was, going to look the other way and support the contender on the other side. And this is where it all started. So it really is an ego game. Now, Musk has also posted saying Trump has 3.5 years left. I'll be around for the next 40 plus years. So he hopes to, outlast Trump and sort of take over the political game over the long run. This is not just, sort of personal drama at this point. This battle between these two individuals will play out on politics, on global tech leadership, on how the government actually funds the future. Because on one hand, you have the President of the United States who would like access to Twitter in his favor, who would like access to the money that Musk actually controls. And on the other hand, you have the richest man in the world who had access to the White House, which means that he could get things done in a way, or he had influence in a way that all the money in the world couldn't give him. So it was a marriage that might have been made in heaven, but the divorce seems to be pretty messy at this point. But this also plays out on the rest of the world. China, for example, has taken a very interesting stand. The Chinese social media platform called Weibo, which is basically Unka Twitter, had a hashtag called Musk wants to start an American party. It trended with 37 million views. And it said, Brother Musk, you have 1 billion friends in China. We support you. Now, you could say that these are just Chinese people getting excited. But remember, it went uncensored. And China tends to censor its social media platforms a bit. And that was being taken as a signal of tacit support or approval from Beijing, or a message that Beijing was sending out to Musk as a strategic tech partner. Remember, Tesla has a massive factory, a gigafactory in Shanghai, which is the only foreign-owned electric vehicle plant in China. And this is an interesting sort of position. The question is China showing approval there for Musk or inviting him in any way? On the other hand, in Europe, the headwinds are different. The mood is far less forgiving. Europe has opened multiple investigations into Tesla's claims of autopilot and emission data. Germany and Netherlands consumer watchdogs are scrutinizing Tesla's marketing sort of claims. Tesla's shares have dropped sharply across Europe, especially Norway, Germany, UK, where his political alignment with Trump sort of irked a lot of people. And the EU Parliament in May this year debated on new tariffs for US made EVs. Effectively, that will be Tesla and Ford. So going is not great in Europe, but there seems to be some sort of glimmer of hope for him in China. The interesting thing is when Musk rolled back his accusation about Epstein and he sort of apologized to the president, it won him some favor with his investors who said, okay, he's not being entirely unreasonable and he's actually showing some sort of restraint here. So it's not, like I said, just a story of two men fighting. They control tech, money, influence. They control the future. They control the space race, right? So Trump has institutional backing. He has a voter base. He has policy-making tools. And he can put a significant amount of pressure on Musk. On the other hand, Musk has his checkbook, which is massive. And Republicans outside of Trump would like access to that checkbook. Take J.D. Vance, for example, who's likely to be the next candidate for president from that party. He would want to have Musk on his side. And the way things are going right now, they might push from within the party that Trump sort of stands down a little bit, although Trump has never stood down for anybody. Now, his political spending and influence is going to still be interesting for the Republican Party. And so this entire battle between these two men is unlikely to settle down anytime soon. But Tesla, SpaceX, Starlink is in the crossfire. And it's going to be interesting what happens to the investors and the employees of these companies while Musk chose to mix politics and business. This is the fallout of that nuclear battle. Leave me a comment in the comment section if you think who's going to win, who's the more powerful of the two of them, who's the more egoistic of the two of them, and who's likely to back down first. Of course, for everybody watching across the world, remember, this is oligarchy. This is where very powerful business people who have a lot of money funnel their money to support politicians so they can come into power. And then politicians come into power, they change the rules to benefit the businessmen so the businessmen can become richer. Think of other countries where you've seen such examples. And is this the new world that we're currently living in? And is Musk and Trump really an example of how that relationship can't last forever?